loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Rye and this is Rye's Reading Corner. Today I am bringing you my top 10 books of 2020 thus far. So it is already August, which is insane. So I figured as part of BookTube VEDA, I would do the top 10 books of 2020 up until this point. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to rewatch this video and see if my top 10 has stayed the same or if anything has changed. So for these top 10 books, I do not have them in any specific order. I had enough trouble just being able to narrow it down to 10 because I have read so many great books this year so far. So many of these books I've already gushed about in different vlogs, so I'm not going to try and go into too much details in them, but I will post the vlogs where I talk about some of these books up in the cards above. So my first book is Loveless by Alice Oseman. This was a 2020 release. This is my first year ever reading anything by Alice Oseman. I don't know where I have been, that's for sure. This is about a young girl named Georgia who is trying to figure out where she fits in and trying to figure out her identity and her sexual orientation due to that she just wants to be able to fall in love, but she's never had those feelings towards another person. But when she goes to uni, she is introduced to the words aromantic as well as asexual, and she feels like maybe that is who she is. But it's a lot more complex of that. It's a coming of age story. This was a great book. It's over 400 pages and I read it in one day. That's how good it was. So one of my top 10. The next one, I'm going to actually do these two together. And it's Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert and Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. So this is kind of like, it's a series that's coming along, but you don't have to read. Really, you can read them out of order, I would say. So the first one that she published was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This is Chloe Brown here on our cover and her boy Red or Redford. So Chloe Brown has a chronic illness and it's kind of had her put a stop on some things of her life. And she has a near-death experience and that's kind of changed her perspective on life. So she comes up with a list of things that she wants to push herself to do. And this is her story of her pushing through to kind of get those things, as well as falling in love with Redford, who is amazing and so cute. So I loved this book. I read it on vacation. It's a perfect summer beach read. So her most recent work is Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which Dani is Chloe's sister. So I think she's the middle sister. I'm not 100% sure though. So this is about a woman who is a college professor pursuing her PhD. She is bisexual and also practices witchcraft, which I just love. But one day gets stuck in an elevator at her work and the security guard, Zap, has to come and rescue her. Then they get a lot of public attention through social media about him saving her, and then there's like a fake dating in here, and they obviously end up truly falling in love. Zap is like, oh, he's amazing. He is this like a hopeless romantic. I loved him, and he's not afraid of a strong, independent woman, which I adore. So definitely these are two amazing books that I read this year. She is coming out with the third sister's book, Eve. I believe it's coming out next year. I'm super excited to read that. All right, the next book that I picked for my top 10 of 2020 so far is a book that I just read, and it's Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I do have a whole vlog of doing this. I will post that in the cards above. This is a hate to love high school romance. Our two main characters, Rowan and Neil, have been constant competitors throughout high school, each wanting to be the best and get the best grades. So once Neil is named valedictorian and Rowan is not, she wants to beat him one last time in the Howl, which is like a big game, like scavenger hunt around town that the seniors do every single year. But they end up becoming partners in this because they want to end on a high note together. And this story is great. It is like a hate to love romance, but it's a lot more deeper than that. A lot of different important life lessons, such as, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. I know that's so cliche, but, you know, she thought Neil was this, you know, one type of way just based off he looks, but he has a much more complex life than she ever could have imagined. I think it approaches the topic of going off to college in a great light, how it's not always easy. I like their approach to talking about sex in this book. I just think it was a great story. It melted my heart. I didn't want it to be over with, and I highly recommend it. All right, my next one is Felix Ever After by Kason Calendar. So this is such a good book. So it is about Felix, obviously, and he is a Black trans boy, and when he is going to like a summer school type thing, someone outs his dead name as well as pictures of him prior to his transition. So it's beginning kind of goes into like a mystery of who outed his dead name, but it's a lot more complex with them. It's him trying to figure out who, like how he identifies as who's a sexual identity, who he likes, who he doesn't like, as well as just being a Black male in society today. And some of these conversations in this story are so fitting to what's going on in the world today. This story had me crying. I was gushing at the cute romance parts. I think it's a great story. I think it's one of those books I feel like everybody should read, and it is a great story. So you can see there's a wide range. I have a lot of different things. I have young adult, I have romance, I have adult, but like I said, I've read so many good books this year. All right, so the next one is The Black Flamingo by Dean Ada. I love this book. So this is a free verse book. It reads very, very quickly. So this story follows our main character from when he was a child all the way up through college, or I believe it was university. I don't remember. I think it might be university. And this is his journey of coming to terms and trying to figure out who he is and where he fits into society. Times he says, I don't fit in with the Black kids because I'm also part Grecian. I don't fit in with the Grecian group because I don't speak Greek. He goes, where do I fit in? And it literally breaks my heart. And he just really is struggling to figure out who he is and where he fits into society. Then he finds drag, and this is kind of where he feels like he finally fits in with a crowd, and he feels like he can be who he is meant to be. Again, great conversations of what it's like to be a Black male in today's society. I tabbed it a bunch of times, just things that like moved me. This is a great story, again, heartbreaking, but again, it ends on a positive light, which I feel like same with Felix Ever After. Like, it's very heart-wrenching, but when you get to the end of these books, my heart was just like all warm inside, and it was great. So the next one is another book wrote in verse, and this is Clap of You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So this year has been my first time reading anything by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I've fallen in love with her writing. So for me, this one is one of my top 10 books of the year. This is about two girls. One lives in New York City, the other one lives in the Dominican Republic. They do not know that each other exists until their father dies in a plane crash, and come to find out their father is the same. So it is a story about grief and figuring out, you know, how to live with the fact that your father is not really who your father said he was for so many years. This was a great book, again, moving, heart-wrenching, but again, I think it has a great message, and it's a great story, and it is a quick read as well. All right, the next one, we're kind of taking a completely different turn than what I've just been talking about with you, but my next one is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. So again, 2020 release, which all of these books are 2020 releases besides Get a Life, Chloe Brown. All of these other ones are 2020 releases. So this book is so good. So it is a mix between The Crucible and The Handmaid's Tale and just perfection. So they live in a world where there's a prophet, and the prophet pretty much makes all the decisions in this world, and it is an honor in the society to be married by that prophet. Once you get your period, that's the signaling that you are a woman. So we have our main character here, and she does not want that life, and that kind of stems from her mother, her mother didn't want that life either. And she had a relationship with one of the men on the outskirts, they called, which was where the Black people of this town lived. She comes back, she's pregnant, she is deemed as no good anymore, and she runs off into the woods, which are deemed as, you know, forbidden because that's where the witches have been told to have lived. So she does come back and she ends up trying to kill the prophet, which obviously did not go well. But she ends up dying in childbirth when she was having her, and now she's kind of having to pick up the pieces that her mother has left behind by a curse that her mother put on her, but she doesn't know that. This is just a great story. I mean, it left me every other turn. I didn't know what was going to happen. I loved the side characters in it. There is Ezra who in here who I absolutely loved. I actually tweeted the author and she said that she is coming out with a sequel, which is great because the way it ends is perfect for a sequel. So again, like I said, great story. It is a weird book, but I like it. It's weird, spooky, horror, just fabulous. I just loved it. Okay, so the next book is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This book I cannot say enough about. It is a cross between horror, paranormal, and thriller. You don't know what it really is until the very end of the book, which is why I love this book so much. I feel like everyone knows about this book so far, but if you don't, it is about a girl who lived in this house with her family for about 20 something days, and the house did have kind of a weird past. There have been people that had been killed in this house, but when apparently weird things happened there and they have to leave very, very quickly. Then her father writes a book about their experiences living in this house, and it becomes really, really famous. And growing up, she really doesn't know if what really happened here was true. Was it really that horror, that the paranormal stuff that her dad said, or was it something more to it? So when her father passes away, she is given this house and she goes back to investigate it herself. But like I said, we don't know what it is until the very end of the book. If you have not picked this book up, I highly suggest it. It's creepy, bizarre, and definitely there's a twists on twists. So you never know what's going to happen. All right, my last book for my favorite book so far of 2020 is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. So I will end with a young adult book. I love this book. Again, I tabbed it all over it. This is about a young girl. Her name is Leah, and she is living in a town where she is one of the only Black girls attending this school, and is on the poor end of things in a white rich community. She is planning on going to a prestigious college, the same one that her mother went to, who had passed away from sickle cell disease, which also her brother has as well. So, but when she does not get that scholarship, she knows that she needs to find an alternative way to get that money because that's the only way that she'll be able to go. So she enrolls into prom, which is like this really big doing in this town with a huge scholarship. So it's her, you know, battling of trying to obviously win this, but not be that typical prom queen. She does end up falling in love with one of the other prom queen competitors. It's just a great story. It is heartwarming, but it also, I feel like, is really eye-opening to what life is like for her. And I think the story is great. It really does move you, and you really get to know the struggles that Leah faces trying to be, you know, who society thinks she should be versus who she really wants to be, and the struggles with that I think was portrayed very well. This is a debut novel by Leah Johnson. It did not read like a debut novel by any means. She's very talented, and I can't wait to read other things that she writes. So that was a really quick rundown of 10 books that I have absolutely fallen in love with so far in 2020. Like I said, check out my other vlogs and videos of more of an in-depth analysis and my opinions on these books. And yeah, so leave down in the comments below some books that you've absolutely loved in 2020 so far. I'll be interested to see if yours changes as well as mine. So if you're new to my channel and you would like to take this journey with me, press that subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you never want to miss any of my content, press that alert button. I have posted all my social media down below if you want to be friends on anything else. And yeah, so stay kind, loves, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Special, pretty up from the minute that I met you.